March 12, 1954. Raymond Lewis tasted poisoned food meant for his boss, Bumpy Johnson. 43 minutes of agony later. He was dead, leaving behind a pregnant wife and a 5-year-old son. But what Bumpy Johnson did next didn't just shock the 5 mafia families, it changed the rules of the underworld forever. What did Bumpy do that made even the most powerful mob bosses bow their heads in silence to understand how it all led here? We go back to where it truly began. March 12, 1954, 7:28 in the evening. Raymond "Quick" Lewis pushed through the doors of Small's Paradise 32 minutes early. Not 30, not 25. 32. That's who Raymond was. Precise, calculated, always 3 steps ahead of danger. He'd been protecting Bumpy Johnson for 8 years, 2,920 days. Not one incident, not one mistake, not one moment of hesitation. They called him Quick not because he moved fast, because he thought faster, anticipated threats before they materialized, saw patterns where others saw coincidence. Raymond scanned the restaurant, every table, every face, every shadow. His eyes moved like a machine, left to right, front to back, cataloging details, storing information, building a mental map of the room. The usual crowd, regulars at their regular tables, Louis at table 7, always ordered the catfish. Miss Dorothy at table 3, always complained the music was too loud. Everything normal, everything routine. Except it wasn't. Raymond's instincts fired. Something felt wrong, not obvious, not visible, just wrong. He'd learned to trust that feeling. 8 years protecting Bumpy had sharpened it into something almost supernatural. He walked to the kitchen, checked the back entrance. Locked. Good. Checked the storage room. Empty. Good. Checked the staff. Cook. Dishwasher. 2 waiters he recognized. And one he didn't. Young guy, maybe 25. Dark hair. Nervous energy, moving too carefully, trying too hard to look casual. Raymond's eyes narrowed. He approached the manager. "Who's the new waiter?" The manager looked up. Tommy Marciano. Started 3 days ago. Where's he from?" "The Bronx. Good references. Worked at Delmonico's for 2 years. Raymond's jaw tightened. The Bronx. Genovese territory. He watched Tommy move through the kitchen. Something was off. The way he kept checking the clock. The way his hands shook slightly when he picked up plates. Keep him away from Bumpy's table. What, why? Just do it. Raymond took his position, 3 feet behind Bumpy's usual table. Close enough to react, far enough to observe. He could see the entire restaurant from here, every entrance, every exit, every person who walked through that door. That single observation would set everything in motion, though Raymond didn't know it yet. 8:14 in the evening. Bumpy Johnson arrived, Mamie on his arm. Elegant, composed, moving through the restaurant like he owned it, which in many ways he did. Bumpy Johnson wasn't like other men in his position. He didn't shout, didn't threaten, didn't need to. His power came from something deeper, intelligence, strategy, the ability to see 10 moves ahead while everyone else was still thinking about the first. He sat at his table. Raymond stood behind him, silent, watchful. Bumpy didn't acknowledge him, didn't need to. They had a language beyond words, a connection built on 8 years of trust. "Evening, quick," Bumpy said quietly, not looking back. "Evening, boss. Everything good. New waiter, from the Bronx." Bumpy's eyes flickered, barely noticeable. But Raymond saw it. That's what 8 years together did. created a bond where a flicker meant everything. Interesting, Bumpy said, his tone unchanged. But Raymond knew. Bumpy was now 3 steps ahead, already calculating, already planning. Tommy approached the table, smiled. Professional, but Raymond saw the sweat on his upper lip, saw the way his hand trembled slightly holding the menus. "Good evening, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson. What can I get you tonight?" Bumpy looked up, met Tommy's eyes, studied him for 3 seconds, long enough to make most men uncomfortable. Tommy held his gaze, impressive, or stupid. The usual: steak, rare, mashed potatoes, green beans. "And for you, Mrs. Johnson?" "The same." Tommy nodded, wrote nothing down, walked back to the kitchen. Raymond watched every step, counted them. 14 steps to the kitchen door. Tommy disappeared inside. "What do you think?" Bumpy asked, too nervous for a 3-day employee. "Maybe he's just nervous serving me." "Maybe. But you don't think so?" "No, sir, I don't." Bumpy nodded, took a sip of water, his mind already working. Raymond could see it, the way Bumpy's fingers drummed once on the table. His tell when he was thinking. Most people missed it. Raymond never did. What Raymond's instincts had detected would prove more dangerous than either of them imagined. But for now, they waited and watched. Raymond moved to the manager's office. Quick. Quiet. The manager looked up. "I need everything you have on Tommy Marciano." "What's going on?" "Just get it." The manager pulled a file. Raymond opened it, read fast. Employment application, social security number, previous employer reference, address in the Bronx, 142nd Street. Raymond pulled out a small notebook, wrote down the address. Then he called a contact. Low voice. "Need you to check someone, Tommy Marciano, 142nd Street, Bronx, everything. 10 minutes. He hung up, walked back to his position. Bumpy was talking with Mamie. Casual conversation. But Raymond knew Bumpy was aware of everything. Every movement in the restaurant, every person who walked in. That's what made him different. He could be in a conversation and still control the entire room. 8 minutes later, a waiter Raymond trusted slipped him a folded note. Raymond opened it, read it. His face didn't change. But inside, every alarm was screaming. Tommy Marciano, real person, real employment history. But the address was wrong. The real Tommy Marciano lived on 138th Street, not 142nd. Someone had copied his identity, changed just enough to pass a basic background check. Raymond leaned close to Bumpy's ear. The waiter's using a false identity. Bumpy's expression didn't change. He laughed at something Mamie said, but his hand moved slightly. The signal. Heightened alert. How sure? 90%. Then we treat it as 100. Raymond stepped back, positioned himself differently. Now he could see both the kitchen and Tommy. His hand moved to his waist. Not a weapon. Raymond didn't carry guns in restaurants. Too obvious. But he had other ways. Tommy emerged from the kitchen, carrying 2 plates, steak, potatoes, green beans, walking toward Bumpy's table. Raymond counted his steps again. 15 this time. 1 more than before. Why, Tommy set the plates down. Smiled. Enjoy your meal. Bumpy looked at the food, then at Tommy. You new to New York? Tommy hesitated. Quarter of a second. Most people wouldn't notice. No, sir. Born and raised. What part? The Bronx. I know some people in the Bronx. What street? Another hesitation, longer this time. 142nd, near where a Brook Avenue. Bumpy nodded, smiled. Good neighborhood. But Raymond caught it. Brook Avenue was nowhere near 142nd Street. Tommy had just confirmed he was lying. The psychological game had begun, and Tommy didn't even realize he was already losing. Raymond watched Tommy walk away. The man's shoulders were tense, his gait slightly off. He knew something had just happened. Couldn't identify what, but knew. Bumpy cut into his steak. Normal. Casual, but he hadn't taken a bite. Raymond knew the protocol. He always tasted Bumpy's food first. 8 years. Never failed. Standard procedure. But something stopped Raymond this time. Not protocol. Not procedure. Instinct. He leaned down. "Boss, let me check the kitchen first." Bumpy set down his fork. "You think it's in the food? I think we don't take chances." "Go." Raymond walked to the kitchen. Calm, no rush. Drew no attention. Pushed through the doors. The cook looked up. "Where's the steak you just made for Mr. Johnson?" "Send it out." "Who plated it?" "Tommy did." Raymond's blood went cold. "You didn't plate it?" "No. Tommy said he'd do it. Wanted to make sure it was perfect for Mr. Johnson." Raymond turned. Walked back to the dining room. Faster now. Not running, but moving with purpose. He reached Bumpy's table. Bumpy was raising his fork. Raymond's hand shot out, stopped him. "What's wrong?" Mamie asked. "Don't eat it," Raymond said, his voice calm but firm. Bumpy set the fork down, looked at Raymond. 8 years of trust in that look. "Talk to me." "Tommy plated the food himself, not the cook. That's not procedure." "Maybe he was being thorough, or maybe he added something." The word hung in the air. Something. The possibility they'd both considered. The threat that kept Raymond awake some nights. Someone trying to eliminate Bumpy Johnson, not with bullets but with poison. Coward's weapon. Invisible. Untraceable. "You want to test it?" Bumpy asked. "That's my job. Quick, if you're wrong, then I'm wrong. But if I'm right and you eat it, we're both done." Bumpy nodded. "Do it." Raymond picked up the fork. Cut a piece of steak, normal size, not too big, not too small. He studied it. Looked normal, smelled normal. But poison didn't always have a smell. He put it in his mouth. Chewed, tasted. Nothing unusual. Beef. Seasoning. Normal. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe paranoia had finally caught up with him. He swallowed. Waited. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15. Nothing. Maybe it was fine. Maybe Tommy was just nervous. Maybe. Then he felt it. Not pain. Not yet. Just warmth. Starting in his throat, spreading down. Unusual. Wrong. Raymond's training kicked in. Don't show it. Don't alert anyone. Assess the situation. He took another bite. Smaller this time. Needed to confirm. Needed to be sure before he caused a scene. The warmth increased. Became heat. His throat started burning. Definitely something wrong. He set the fork down. Looked at Bumpy. Their eyes met. Bumpy saw it immediately. 8 years of reading each other. "How bad?" Bumpy asked quietly. "Don't know yet." "Hospital." "Let's give it a minute." But Raymond's body had other plans. And that minute would change everything. The heat in Raymond's throat became fire. Spreading fast. Down into his stomach. Up into his head. His vision blurred slightly. He gripped the back of Bumpy's chair. "Quick," Mamie's voice. Concerned. "I'm fine," Raymond said. But his voice sounded wrong. Rough, strained. Bumpy stood. Calm. No panic. "We're leaving. Now." "No," Raymond said. If we leave, they'll know. We need to. The pain hit, massive, overwhelming, like his insides were being torn apart. Raymond stumbled, grabbed the table, plates clattered, people turned. Bumpy caught him. Strong grip. I've got you. Raymond's legs gave out. He collapsed. Bumpy lowered him to the floor. Mamie screamed. Not loud. Controlled. But the fear was real. Someone call an ambulance. People rushed over. Raymond looked up at Bumpy, tried to speak. His mouth wouldn't work right. Foam forming at the corners. Blood taste in the back of his throat. Don't talk, Bumpy said, his voice steady, his hands checking Raymond's pulse, his eyes scanning the room. Raymond saw Tommy, standing near the kitchen, face pale, shocked, or pretending to be. Then Tommy moved, toward the back exit. Raymond tried to point, tried to warn Bumpy, but his arm wouldn't move. His whole body was seizing, convulsing, every muscle contracting at once. Hold him down, Bumpy ordered. Two men helped, held Raymond's shoulders, his legs, trying to keep him from hurting himself. Raymond's eyes rolled back. The pain was beyond description, beyond endurance. He could feel his organs shutting down, could feel his heart racing, then slowing, then racing again. His lungs couldn't get enough air. This was it. This was how he died. Taking a bite meant for Bumpy Johnson, doing his job, protecting the man he'd sworn to protect. But through the pain, through the fog, one thought remained crystal clear. Genovese. Raymond forced his eyes to focus, found Bumpy's face, mouthed one word. Genovese. Bumpy's expression didn't change, but his eyes hardened. I know. Save your strength. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. The ambulance. Raymond had maybe minutes, maybe less. He needed Bumpy to understand, needed him to know this wasn't random. This was an assassination attempt. This was war. He grabbed Bumpy's collar, pulled him close, used everything he had left. Bronx, Tommy, Genovese sent him, then his grip failed. His hand fell. The convulsions intensified. Blood coming from his nose now, his ears, his body shutting down system by system. Mamie was crying. Bumpy was holding him. And Raymond Quick Lewis, 32 years old. Bodyguard, protector, friend, felt himself slipping away. The paramedics burst through the door, rushed over, started working immediately. What did he ingest? Steak. 3 minutes ago, Bumpy said. Any known allergies? No, this is poison. The paramedics exchanged looks, moved faster. IV. Oxygen. Checking vitals. Raymond felt them working but couldn't respond, couldn't help. His body belonged to the poison now. We need to move him. Now. They lifted Raymond onto a stretcher. Bumpy tried to follow. Sir, you can't. I'm coming. Family only. Bumpy's voice went cold. Dangerous. I am his family. The paramedic saw something in Bumpy's eyes. Didn't argue. Nodded. They loaded Raymond into the ambulance. Bumpy climbed in, sat beside him, held his hand. The ambulance screamed through Harlem. Lights flashing, siren wailing. Raymond's vitals were crashing, blood pressure dropping, heart rate erratic, breathing shallow. He's going into shock, the paramedic shouted. Start fluids, push them fast. They worked frantically, but Raymond was fading. He could feel it, like standing on a shore watching the tide pull him out. Inevitable, unstoppable. He looked at Bumpy one last time, tried to speak. Couldn't. But Bumpy understood anyway. I know, Bumpy said quietly. I'll take care of them. I'll take care of everything. You just fight. Raymond wanted to fight, wanted to live. But the poison had other plans. The ambulance pulled up to Harlem Hospital. Doors flew open. Medical team waiting. They rushed Raymond inside. Bumpy tried to follow, but a nurse stopped him. "Sir, you need to wait here." "How long?" "We don't know. We'll update you as soon as we can." They disappeared through the doors. Bumpy stood alone in the hallway. Then Mamie arrived, running, crying. "Is he alive?" "Barely." Mamie collapsed into his arms. Bumpy held her, but his mind was already 3 steps ahead, already planning, already calculating what came next, because while Raymond fought for his life behind those doors, Bumpy Johnson knew exactly what he had to do. Not revenge. Revenge was emotional, sloppy. This required something colder, something more precise. This required justice. And in Bumpy Johnson's world, justice always came with a price that Vito Genovese was about to pay in full. While Raymond battled the Reaper behind those emergency room doors, Bumpy had already identified exactly what needed to happen. Not hasty vengeance, but a calculated plan. More ruthless than any act of violence. March 12th, 1954. 11:47 at night. Bumpy Johnson sat in the hospital waiting room, Mamie beside him, Junie and Willie standing against the wall, all waiting for news about Raymond. Most men in Bumpy's position would already be moving, already be hitting back, already be painting Harlem red with Genovese's blood. But Bumpy Johnson wasn't most men. He sat, thought, calculated. "Boss," Junie said, his voice tight with anger. "We need to move. Now." "No." "What do you mean, no?" "No, they tried to kill you. They got quick instead. We can't just sit here." Bumpy looked at him. Calm. "What do you want to do?" "Junie." Hit them hard. Show Genovese he can't touch us." "And then what?" Junie hesitated. "What do you mean after you hit them? After you show Genovese you're angry? Then what happens?" Willie spoke up. "He hits back. We hit him. War." "Exactly," Bumpy said. "War. Which is exactly what Genovese wants. He wants me emotional. Wants me making mistakes. Wants me vulnerable. So we do nothing." Junie's fists clenched. "I didn't say that. I said we don't rush." Bumpy stood, walked to the window, looked out at Harlem, his city, his responsibility. "Power and violence aren't the same thing," he said quietly. "Violence is easy. Any fool with a gun can be violent. Power is different. Power is control, strategy, making your enemy destroy themselves." "I don't understand," Willie said. Bumpy turned. "Genovese tried to poison me. Why poison? Why not a bullet?" "Because poison is quiet," Junie answered. "No, because poison is deniable. If I die from poison, no one knows for sure who did it. Could be anyone. Could be an accident. Genovese stays clean, stays protected. So what do? We make him visible. We expose him. We force him into the light where everyone can see what he did." Mamie spoke for the first time. "How?" Bumpy pulled out a small notebook. Started writing. 3 steps. Evidence. Politics. Justice. He wrote as he talked. First, we find Tommy Marciano. We get him to confess. Everything. Who paid him? How much? When? Where? We record it. Make it undeniable. "And if he won't talk?" Willie asked. "He'll talk. Because I won't give him a choice that involves violence. I'll give him a choice between dying tonight or living long enough to testify." Junie nodded slowly. "Okay. Evidence. What's second?" "Politics. We take this to the commission. All 5 families. We make Genovese answer for what he did in front of everyone who matters." They'll never side with you over him, Willie said. Maybe. Maybe not. But they'll listen. And listening means they're thinking. Thinking means doubt. Doubt means Genovese loses power even if he lives. And third, Mamie asked, justice, real justice, not revenge, not emotion. We use their own rules against them. The commission has laws. Genovese broke them. We make sure he pays according to those laws. The room went quiet. Then Junie spoke. This is why you're different, boss. Anyone else would already be shooting. You're playing chess. I'm not playing anything, Bumpy said. Raymond is dying because of me. Because someone wanted me dead. That's not a game. That's war. But wars aren't won by being the angriest. They're won by being the smartest. A doctor appeared in the doorway. Everyone turned. His face was grim. Mr. Johnson. How is he? Critical. The poison damaged his liver, kidneys, heart. We're doing everything we can, but the next few hours will determine if he survives. Can I see him? 5 minutes, no more. Bumpy walked to Raymond's room. The sight stopped him. Raymond looked small, fragile, tubes everywhere, machines breathing for him. This man who'd stood beside Bumpy for 8 years, who'd never hesitated, never failed. Bumpy sat beside the bed, took Raymond's hand. I'm going to fix this, quick, not with bullets, with brains. The way you'd want, the way you taught me to think 3 steps ahead. Raymond's eyes flickered. Didn't open, but Bumpy felt the slight squeeze of his hand. You focus on fighting. I'll handle the rest. While Bumpy kept vigil at Raymond's bedside, his mind was already executing the first phase of his plan, and Tommy Marciano had exactly 4 hours of freedom left. 12:30 in the morning. Junie and Willie left the hospital. Bumpy had given them one instruction. Find Tommy Marciano. Don't hurt him. Just find him and bring him somewhere quiet. It took 4 hours. They found him at a boarding house in the Bronx. 3rd floor, room 14. Trying to pack a suitcase. Hands shaking, sweat pouring down his face. Going somewhere? Junie asked from the doorway. Tommy spun, saw them, tried to run. Willie blocked the window. There was nowhere to go. Please, Tommy said. I didn't mean, shut up, get dressed. You're coming with us. They brought him to a warehouse in Harlem. Empty, quiet, just a single chair in the middle. They sat Tommy down. Didn't tie him. Didn't need to. His fear did the work. 4:43 in the morning. Bumpy arrived. Walked in calm, composed, like he was entering a business meeting. He pulled up a chair, sat across from Tommy, 2 feet between them. Tommy Marciano, Bumpy said, except that's not really your name, is it? I don't know what you're talking about. Your real name is Thomas DeLuca. You borrowed Tommy Marciano's identity 3 weeks ago. Applied for the job at Small's Paradise under his name. Got hired because the background check was clean. Tommy's face went pale. How did... I have people everywhere. Better people than Genovese has. So let's not waste time pretending. You poisoned my food tonight. My bodyguard ate it instead. He's dying right now. Question is, are you going to die too? Please, Mr. Johnson, answer the question. Tommy was crying now. I don't want to die. Then talk. Who paid you? I can't. Wrong answer. Bumpy stood, started walking toward the door. Wait. Okay. Vito Genovese. He paid me. Bumpy turned, walked back, sat down. How much? $10,000. When did he approach you? 3 weeks ago. I was in debt, gambling, owed money to his people. He said he'd clear the debt plus $10,000 if I did this one job. What were your instructions? Get hired at Small's Paradise. Wait for the signal. When he gave it, put the poison in your food. What poison? He gave me a vial. Said it was arsenic mixed with cyanide. Said you'd be dead in an hour. No trace. Where did you meet him? His social club. 116th Street, upstairs office. He was there with 2 other guys. Didn't give their names. What did they look like? Tommy described them. Bumpy knew immediately. Genovese's top lieutenants. Witnesses. Did anyone else know about this? I don't think so. Genovese said it had to be secret. Said if anyone found out, he'd kill my family. Bumpy pulled out a small tape recorder. Set it on the floor between them. What's that? Tommy asked. Your life insurance. You're going to repeat everything you just told me. On record. Clear. Detailed. And if you do it right, you might live through tomorrow. And if I don't, then I let Junie and Willie decide what happens to you. And they're not as patient as I am. Tommy looked at Junie and Willie, saw the anger in their eyes, made his choice. Okay, I'll do it. Bumpy pressed record. Tommy talked for 17 minutes, every detail, every meeting, every instruction, the vial, the money, the threats, everything. When he finished, Bumpy stopped the recording, put it in his pocket. What happens now? Tommy asked. Now you wait. If my friend dies, you'll testify at the commission. Tell them everything. If you do that, I'll let you live. And if he survives, you still testify, but you get to walk away after. You promise? I keep my promises, Tommy. Unlike Genovese. Bumpy stood, walked to the door, then turned back. One more thing. When did you know you'd killed the wrong man? Tommy's voice broke. When I saw him fall. When I realized he'd tasted the food first. I didn't know. Nobody told me. I thought. You thought it would be easy money. That's the problem with working for cowards. They don't prepare you for consequences. Bumpy walked out, left Tommy with Junie and Willie. Went back to the hospital. 5:58 in the morning. Bumpy entered Raymond's room. Maria was there now, 8 months pregnant, holding Raymond's hand, tears streaming down her face. How is he? Bumpy asked quietly. Dr. Chen appeared behind him. Worse. His kidneys are failing. We've started dialysis, but it's not enough. If he survives the next hour, it will be a miracle. Bumpy sat on the other side of the bed, looked at Raymond, his friend, his brother. Fight, quick, just a little longer. But Raymond's vitals kept dropping, blood pressure falling, heart rate irregular. The machines screaming warnings, 6:14 in the morning. The monitors went flat. One long continuous tone. Doctors rushed in, started working, trying to restart his heart. Clear. Raymond's body jumped. Nothing. Again clear. Jump. Nothing. Come on, Raymond, come on. Jump. Nothing. Dr. Chen looked at the clock. Looked at Bumpy. Looked at Maria. Time of death. 6:14. March 13th, 1954. Maria screamed, collapsed onto Raymond's chest. Bumpy sat frozen, staring at his friend's face. Peaceful now. No more pain. No more fighting. Gone. Raymond Quick Lewis, 32 years old. Bodyguard. Father. Friend. Dead from poison meant for Bumpy Johnson. Bumpy stood slowly, walked out of the room. Junie and Willie were waiting in the hall. They saw his face, knew immediately. Boss said, he's gone. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Final. Irreversible. What do we do? Willie asked. Bumpy's voice went cold, harder than stone. We bury him like a king. Then we make Genovese answer for what he's done. But first came the grief. And Bumpy Johnson had never been good at showing emotion until now, when it mattered most. March 14th, 1954. 10 in the morning. Abyssinian Baptist Church. 2,300 people packed inside. Another 800 outside. All of Harlem came to say goodbye to Raymond Quick Lewis. The casket sat at the front, closed, draped in white flowers. Maria in the front row. Little Raymond beside her, 5 years old. Confused, asking why Daddy was sleeping in that box. Bumpy sat 3 rows back, close enough to show respect, far enough to let the family grieve. Mamie beside him, holding his hand. Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. stood at the pulpit, powerful voice, filling the church. We gather today to honor a protector. Raymond Lewis stood between danger and safety, between chaos and order. He gave his life doing what he believed was right, protecting another. That's not just duty, that's love. The congregation wept, but Bumpy sat still, face like stone, eyes forward, because if he started crying, he might not stop. The Reverend continued. But Raymond's death wasn't an accident, wasn't fate, it was murder, and murder demands justice. Heads turned. This wasn't typical funeral talk. The Reverend was making a statement. In our community, we follow rules, laws, not written in books but understood in our hearts. And one of those laws is simple. You don't use poison, you don't hide behind cowardice, you face a man directly. The church went silent. Everyone knew what this meant, who this was about. So today, we don't just mourn Raymond Lewis. We demand justice for Raymond Lewis, real justice, the kind that makes sure no other father, no other husband, dies this way. The congregation erupted. Amen. Justice, make it right. After the service, they carried Raymond to the cemetery, lowered him into the ground. Maria threw a white rose on the casket, then collapsed. Bumpy caught her, helped her to a chair. I can't do this, she sobbed. Yes, you can. For Raymond. For your children. How? How do I do this without him? You don't do it alone. You have family. You have me. And I promise you, Maria, I will make this right. Making it right won't bring him back. No, but it will make sure his sacrifice meant something. That's all we can do now. Maria looked at him, eyes red, broken. Then do it. Make them pay, but not with more violence. With real justice, the kind Raymond would want. I will, on my life. I will. As the mourners dispersed, Bumpy noticed 5 men standing apart from the crowd, not participating, just watching. He recognized 4 of them immediately. Frank Costello, Carlo Gambino, Tommy Lucchese, Joe Bonanno. 4 of the 5 family heads. The 5th man was conspicuously absent. Vito Genovese. Frank Costello approached, extended his hand. Bumpy shook it. I'm sorry for your loss, Costello said. Thank you. This wasn't right. What happened? No, it wasn't. You planning to do something about it? I am. What? I want a commission meeting. All 5 families. Tomorrow. Costello raised an eyebrow. That's unprecedented. You're not. I know what I'm not, but I'm asking anyway. Raymond Lewis deserves justice, real justice, not street justice, commission justice. And if we say no, then I handle it my way, and Harlem goes to war with the Bronx. And when the bodies start piling up, everyone will remember that the commission had a chance to prevent it and chose not to. Costello studied him. You're serious? As the grave we just filled. I'll make the call. Tomorrow. 10 in the morning. Neutral location. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Bumpy. The commission doesn't usually side with outsiders. Okay, I'm not asking them to side with me. I'm asking them to follow their own rules. Costello smiled slightly. You're smarter than most give you credit for. That's what keeps me alive. The four bosses walked away. Bumpy knew they were discussing it, knew they were already calculating angles, but he'd accomplished what he needed. He'd gotten his meeting. Now came the hard part, convincing 5 of the most powerful men in New York that one of their own needed to die, and that the precedent would strengthen rather than weaken their world. March 15th, 1954, 10 in the morning. A warehouse in Queens. Neutral territory. No family controlled this area. Perfect for a commission meeting. The room was set up like a courtroom. 5 chairs on one side. 1 chair facing them. Bumpy would sit in that single chair. The defendant, or the prosecutor, depending on how you looked at it. Frank Costello entered first, then Carlo Gambino, Tommy Lucchese, Joe Bonanno. Finally, Vito Genovese, his face calm, confident. Why wouldn't he be? This was his world, his people, his rules. Bumpy entered last, walked to the single chair, stood beside it, didn't sit. Not yet. Gentlemen, Frank Costello said, we're here because Bumpy Johnson has requested this meeting. An unusual request, but given the circumstances, we've agreed to hear him out. Genovese spoke. This is absurd. He's not even Italian. He has no standing here. He has standing because I'm giving it to him, Costello said coldly. You got a problem with that. Vito. Genovese sat back, said nothing, but his eyes were daggers. Mr. Johnson. Costello continued. You have the floor. Bumpy remained standing, pulled out a folder, opened it. March 12th, 1954, 8:34 at night. Someone poisoned my food at Small's Paradise. My bodyguard. Raymond Lewis. Tasted it first. Standard protocol. He died this morning at 6:14. 32 years old. Left behind a pregnant wife and a 5-year-old son. Cuss. He paused. Let that sink in. The poison was arsenic mixed with cyanide. Highly lethal. Untraceable if consumed fully. The person who administered it was Thomas DeLuca. Using the false identity Tommy Marciano, he worked at the restaurant for 3 days before executing the plan. Bumpy pulled out the tape recorder, set it on the table. This is Thomas DeLuca's full confession. Recorded yesterday. 17 minutes. Details everything. Who hired him, how much they paid, where they met, what instructions he received. He pressed play. Tommy's voice filled the room. Clear. Unmistakable. Vito Genovese approached me 3 weeks ago. Offered me $10,000 to poison Bumpy Johnson. Said it had to look natural. Gave me the poison himself. Told me exactly when and how to use it. Genovese shot up. That's fabricated. You tortured him into saying that. Bumpy stopped the tape. Looked at Genovese. Did I then explain how I knew about your meeting at your social club? How I knew about the 2 witnesses in the room? How I knew about the specific vial you gave him? He pressed play again. Tommy described the vial. The exact dosage. The specific instructions. Details only someone who was actually there could know. The room went silent. The other 4 bosses looked at Genovese. He was sweating now, losing his composure. This proves nothing, Genovese said, but his voice was weaker. It proves you ordered a hit using poison, Carlo Gambino said, his voice sharp. That's against our code. Vito. Code what code? Johnson's been encroaching on my territory for years. Then you should have handled it properly, Joe Bonanno said. You bring it to the commission. We mediate. We decide. You don't use poison, like a coward. I'm not a coward. Then what do you call using poison? Tommy Lucchese asked. What do you call hiding behind false identities and paying amateurs to do your work? Genovese looked around the table, realized he was losing. Changed tactics. Fine. Even if I did order it, which I'm not admitting. Johnson's not one of us. This isn't commission business. Bumpy spoke. Calm. Measured. You're right. I'm not Italian. I'm not part of your families. But Raymond Lewis was innocent. He had nothing to do with our disputes. He was a father doing his job. And you killed him using methods that violate your own rules. He turned to the commission. I'm not asking you to avenge me. I'm asking you to uphold your own laws. Because if you let this slide, you're saying poison is acceptable. You're saying cowardice is acceptable. And tomorrow, it won't be me getting poisoned. It will be one of you, or your children, or your wives. The room went dead quiet. Bumpy had just made it personal, made it about them, about their families. Frank Costello spoke. Gentlemen, let's vote. Did Vito Genovese violate commission law by ordering the use of poison? Yes, Gambino said immediately. Yes, Bonanno said. Yes, Lucchese said. Costello looked at Genovese. That's 3. My vote makes 4. You're outnumbered. Vito, you broke our rules. Now you answer for it. Genovese stood. You can't do this. I'm a boss. I have rights. You had rights, Costello said. You gave them up when you poisoned an innocent man. The commission votes 4-1. You're guilty. Sentencing is up to the offended party. All eyes turned to Bumpy. He could ask for anything. Genovese's territories, his money, his life. Bumpy spoke quietly. I want justice. Real justice. According to your laws. What's the penalty for using poison? Costello looked grim. Death. It's always been death. Then that's what I'm asking for. Genovese's life. For Raymond's life. Genovese's face went white. You can't. We can, Costello said, and we are. You have 24 hours to settle your affairs. Then Bumpy Johnson decides how you die. This commission is adjourned. The 4 bosses stood, filed out, left Genovese standing alone, staring at Bumpy, disbelief and terror warring on his face. Bumpy walked past him, didn't look back, didn't gloat, just walked out, because this wasn't about satisfaction. This was about sending a message in Bumpy Johnson's world. There were rules. Break them. Pay the price. No exceptions. No mercy. But Bumpy Johnson wasn't an executioner. He was a man who understood that true justice wasn't about the kill. It was about the principle. And the principle would be delivered with precision colder than any hatred could achieve. March 15th, 1954. 11:47 at night. Bumpy Johnson walked into the same warehouse where Tommy Marciano had confessed. But this time, the chair held a different man. Vito Genovese, hands bound, face pale, eyes darting around the room looking for escape, finding none. 2 of Bumpy's men stood by the door, not threatening, just present, witnesses to what came next. Bumpy pulled up a chair, sat 3 feet from Genovese, between them. A small table. On that table, a single vial. The same poison Genovese had given Tommy. Arsenic mixed with cyanide. You know what this is, Bumpy said, not a question. Genovese stared at the vial, said nothing. The commission gave me a choice. How you die. I could make it quick, bullet to the head, or I could make it match the crime. Poison, same dose. Same pain Raymond felt. This is murder, Genovese said, his voice shaking. No, this is justice. There's a difference. The law won't see it that way. Bumpy leaned back. Which law? The one you broke when you used poison, The one you violated when you killed an innocent man, or the commission's law that just sentenced you to death? Genovese had no answer. Here's what's going to happen, Bumpy continued. You're going to drink that poison, same amount you gave Tommy, same formula, and you're going to feel everything Raymond felt, every second of pain, every moment of terror. That's justice. And if I refuse, then I hand you back to the commission. They'll make it slower, more public, more humiliating. Carlo Gambino suggested hanging you in Times Square. Joe Bonanno preferred cement shoes in the East River. Frank Costello just wanted you gone. Your choice. Genovese looked at the vial again, then at Bumpy. You really think this makes you better than me? I don't need to be better than you. I just need to be right. And I am. One day, someone will do this to you. Maybe. But they'll do it for a reason, not because they're a coward hiding behind poison. Bumpy pushed the vial across the table. Drink, or I call Gambino. 3 seconds to decide. Genovese's hand shook as he reached for the vial, picked it up, stared at the clear liquid inside, the same liquid that had killed Raymond Lewis, the same weapon he'd thought was untraceable, unstoppable. Any last words? Bumpy asked. Genovese looked up, hatred in his eyes. I hope you burn in. Time's up. Genovese opened the vial, brought it to his lips, hesitated one last second, then drank. The effect was immediate. His throat constricted. Eyes went wide. The vial fell from his hand, shattered on the floor. Bumpy checked his watch, started counting. Genovese grabbed his throat, tried to breathe, couldn't. His face turned red, then purple. Foam appeared at the corners of his mouth, just like Raymond. 43 minutes, Bumpy said quietly. That's how long Raymond suffered. So will you. Genovese fell from the chair, convulsing, body seizing, blood trickling from his nose, his ears. The poison doing its work. Systematic, efficient, merciless. Bumpy sat, watched, didn't speak, didn't gloat, just bore witness. Because that's what justice required. Presence, accountability, seeing it through to the end. Genovese's convulsions slowed. His breathing became ragged, desperate gasps, eyes rolling back. The same progression Raymond had gone through. Now Genovese understood. Now he knew exactly what he'd done. 43 minutes later, Vito Genovese stopped breathing, stopped moving, stopped everything. Bumpy checked his watch. 11:43. Exactly 43 minutes. He stood, looked at the body one last time. That's for Raymond. He walked out, didn't look back. Behind him, his men would handle the cleanup, handle the disposal, handle the evidence. That wasn't his concern anymore. He'd done what needed doing. Nothing more. Nothing less. The score was settled. But Bumpy knew the real work was just beginning because justice without legacy is just revenge with better optics. March 16th, 1954. 3:27 in the morning. Harlem Hospital. Maria Lewis went into labor. 8 hours later, at 11:41 in the morning. She gave birth to a healthy baby boy. 8 pounds, 2 ounces. Perfect. The nurse held the baby up. What's his name? Maria looked at her newborn son, saw Raymond's eyes, Raymond's nose, Raymond's future. She'd thought about this moment for 9 months, thought about what Raymond would want, what name would honor his sacrifice. Raymond Johnson Lewis, she said. The nurse wrote it down. That's a strong name. It needs to be. He's named after 2 strong men. Bumpy arrived at noon, brought flowers for Maria, a teddy bear for little Raymond, and an envelope. "You don't have to keep doing this," Maria said. "Yes, I do. I promised Raymond. I keep my promises." He handed her the envelope. She opened it. Inside, documentation for a trust fund. $50,000. Enough for both children's education, college, graduate school, whatever they needed. "This is too much. It's not enough. It'll never be enough. But it's what I can do." Maria looked at the baby in her arms. "What happened to Genovese?" "Justice happened. Is he dead?" "Yes." "Good. No emotion. Just fact." "Now what?" "Now we honor Raymond by making sure his sacrifice meant something. I'm setting up a scholarship fund, not just for your kids, for any child in Harlem who wants an education. Raymond believed in protecting people. This protects their future. He would have liked that. I know." Bumpy held the baby, looked into those eyes, saw Raymond looking back. "Your father was a hero. Little man. Never forget that." The years passed. The scholarship fund grew. 200 students, then 500, then 1,000. All because Raymond Quick Lewis gave his life doing what he believed was right. 21 years later, May 1975, Columbia University graduation, Raymond Johnson. Lewis walked across that stage. Top of his class, magna cum laude, political science degree, future lawyer, when they called his name. The applause was deafening, not just from family, from an entire community that knew his story, knew his father's sacrifice. Raymond stepped to the podium, cleared his throat, began to speak. "I never met my father. He died the day I was born, but I know exactly who he was. Because someone made sure I knew. Someone who understood that legacy isn't about how you die. It's about what lives on after you're gone." He looked at the crowd, found Bumpy, 70 years old now, gray hair, slower steps, but still sharp, still present. "My father was Raymond Quick Lewis, a protector, a guardian, a man who valued loyalty above his own life. He could have let someone else taste that food, could have walked away, could have chosen safety over duty, but that wasn't who he was. Bumpy Johnson could have chosen revenge, could have started a war, could have painted New York red with blood, but that wasn't who he was either. Instead, he chose justice. He chose education. He chose to turn one man's death into 1,000 children's futures. That's what real legacy looks like. Not monuments, not revenge, not even justice. Legacy is what you build with the time you're given. How you honor those who came before. How you prepare those who come after. The crowd erupted, standing ovation, 3 minutes straight. Bumpy sat, tears streaming down his face, Mamie beside him, holding his hand. "You did it," she whispered. "You kept your promise." "We did it," Bumpy said. "Raymond did it. This was always his legacy. I just made sure it happened." After the ceremony, Raymond Jr. approached Bumpy, extended his hand. Bumpy shook it. Then Raymond pulled him into a hug. "Thank you for everything, for remembering him, for honoring him, for making sure his death meant something. Your father saved my life. Least I could do was save yours. You saved more than mine. You saved everyone who got those scholarships. Everyone who got an education they couldn't afford. That's not just honoring one man. That's changing the world." Bumpy smiled. "Your father would be proud of you." "I hope so, because everything I am, everything I'll become, is because 2 men showed me what loyalty really means. One who was willing to die for it, one who was willing to live for it." They stood together, looking out at the crowd, at the graduates, At the future Raymond Quick Lewis had died to protect, and Bumpy Johnson had lived to ensure. Loyalty isn't measured by willingness to die for someone. It's measured by how you live after they're gone. Raymond Quick Lewis died saving one man. Bumpy Johnson lived saving an entire generation. That's the difference between sacrifice and legacy. One ends with death, the other begins with it.